Instant reaction time here on Dolphins Today. And in week 4, folks, it was not pretty. Huge challenge for the Miami Dolphins to go on the road in the division in a showdown in Buffalo. And unfortunately, the Dolphins were not up to that challenge by any stretch of the imagination in any facet of the game, really. Completely outplayed in this one, manhandled to the tune of losing 48-20. Now, we're going to get into all of it. There's a lot to unpack from this one, but Tua Tagovailoa passed for 282 yards and a touchdown, had the one interception, part of a couple Dolphin turnovers on the day. De'Von Achane, he still looked solid, really impressive. Just 8 carries, however, over the 100-yard mark and 2 touchdowns. So it's not all doom and gloom here on our over and instant reaction post-game show from the Dolphins' 48-20 loss. De'Von Achane continues to be a weapon on the offensive side, but defensively, the Dolphins just got carved up. Josh Allen, 4 touchdowns through the air on the day. He had another one rushing. Stefon Diggs just had his way the entire afternoon. 3 touchdowns on the day, 120 yards receiving. Stefon Diggs was a matchup nightmare for the Dolphins all afternoon. But I need your one-word reaction. You know we love one-word reactions on Dolphins Today. And mine is, I think it's, yes, disappointing, but it's also disheartening because we got so amped up for this game all week long. And based on the sample size that we had seen in the first 3 games of the NFL season, you had such high hopes, high expectations for this game. And why wouldn't you? This is a Dolphins offense that was putting up historic numbers. And at the beginning portion of the game, first 2 drives, you're neck and neck, 2 touchdowns apiece. You think, all right, let's buckle up the seatbelts. We got a shootout coming. But no, the defense continued to get torched. The offense stalled. You commit turnovers. You play undisciplined football. You rack up the penalty yards, and you beat yourselves while allowing Buffalo to just have a field day in that second half in front of their home fans. And really, as the rest of the country was watching, now all of a sudden you're going to get people saying, wait a second, which Dolphins team is it? Is it the 3-0 Dolphins team that put up 70, or is it the Dolphins team that just lost handedly on the road against a divisional opponent? So took the wind out of my sails a little bit. Very disheartening. Need your one-word reaction. Let me know in the comments. Mine is disheartening. Had high expectations for this one for the Dolphins, and obviously it did not live up to them. Now, what's worse is there are some injury news to get to from this game. Terron Armstead left in the second half. No word on the severity of the injury, and it may have been more of a precautionary thing, but obviously when it's a guy like Armstead that had or has as much injury history as he does, it's certainly important to make note when the big fellow leaves the game because of an injury. This one was a knee injury. Again, no specific update, but it's one of those things we'll keep you up to date. We'll keep you abreast as the situation unfolds. Armstead, an All-Pro last year, missed the first 2 games of the season this year, and so has battled injuries really his whole career. So we'll keep you updated on that. Now, our Week 4 takeaways. What we saw transpire on that field in Buffalo. The Dolphins defense was exposed, and every mention of that word exposed, meaning what the Bills offense did to the Dolphins defense was complete and total domination. Just like we saw the Dolphins offense dominate last week, we saw the Bills offense dominate the Dolphins this week. 414 yards, 7.4 yards per play. Josh Allen carving them up through the air, 310 yards. And the rushing game, when they wanted it, it was there. 104 yards rushing, but it really was through the air in which this Dolphins defense got exposed. Not a lot of pressure on Josh Allen, and when they did get pressure on Josh Allen, they didn't get home. There was a couple of times where Josh Allen was able to extend the play. And yes, that's what makes him so good. But you also, if you can get pressure on the guy, you got to get home. With the exception of Andrew Van Ginkel, he played really well today, had 2 sacks. Other than that, nobody on this defense. Zach Sealer had a couple of tackles for loss, but really it was the Dolphins defense, especially the secondary, getting exposed. And Stephon Diggs, I mean, one guy, 3 touchdown receptions, ties a career high, 120 yards and just 6 catches. And not to mention, he also drew some penalties on the Dolphins defenders as well. So this was a look yourself in the mirror kind of game. When the Dolphins get back to work this week in practice, they're going to look at this tape and say, we've got to be better. That includes the offense. The offense can't turn the ball over. Raheem Mostert fumbled a couple of times. They only lost one of them. However, Tua Tagovailoa also had an interception. When you're playing a divisional game on the road and you don't win the turnover battle, more often than not, you can just forget about it. Forget about it, and the Dolphins offense did not do enough, albeit with the way the defense played. The Dolphins offense would have had to be basically perfect, but so far this season, they've been the best offensively in terms of points per game, yards per game, rushing yards, passing yards, whatever it is. So you know they're capable of that, but today they just didn't have it. 393 yards of total offense, 251 yards through the air. Ground game was solid thanks to De'Von Achane, but not a lot. It was the 2 turnovers that really cost the Dolphins here this afternoon. Now, today's show brought to you by Prize Picks. So glad to have Prize Picks on board because it is easily the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. That's why I love about it, because it is so easy to use and ultimately easy to win big. How easy? I'm so glad you asked. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and then you place your entry. It's as simple as that. So forget those complicated spreadsheets trying to beat the Sharks. No, there's none of that in Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports. Like, for example, maybe you want to get ready for Monday Night Football. DK Metcalf, he's projected 61.5 yards receiving. I'm going with more. I think DK can have a big, big day. Jason Myers, Graham Gano, made field goals, 3.5. Maybe it gets to become a kicking battle. I'll take the more there. And Geno Smith, 34 pass attempts. I'll take the less on that one. So I'm ready for Monday Night Football. That's how much fun Prize Picks is. That's why we love it here at Chat Sports, and they help make Dolphins Today possible. And in return, we've got a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. So don't waste any more time. Set up your Prize Picks account. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Buckaroos. Now, also what was frustrating and disheartening about today's loss is the Dolphins lost their identity. What was their identity the first 3 games? Obviously, it was the flash and dash. It was scoring 70 points, but it was also disciplined football. It was protecting Tua Tagovailoa. He was only sacked 1 time in a 3-game sample size leading up to today. He was sacked 4 times. Now, I know it's a better Bills defense, but when you lose your identity as a football team, it's a tough pill to swallow, and that's what happened this afternoon. Also, want to point out this Dolphins team made way too many mistakes, way too many penalties, 8 of them in total, nearly 100 yards in penalty yards, and some of those were long pass interference calls. There was the ineligible man downfield from Liam Eichenberg that took a touchdown off the board. And now, granted, that was later in the game, and the game had kind of already been decided, but it's still a testament to how undisciplined the Dolphins played here against the Bills, and a huge component into why they lost this game. Now, with the too many penalties, undisciplined, losing your identity, I ask you, grade the Dolphins' performance today versus the Bills. Let me know in the comments. I got to know, what do you grade out this Dolphins performance after losing 48-20? For me, I think it's a C minus, maybe even a D plus, because this team can play so much better, and it's going to be a long week waiting for that opportunity to play at Hard Rock Stadium against the Giants, but I look forward to that because I know they can put their best foot forward and get back to their winning ways and get to 4-1. Now, we didn't get the W today. However, that doesn't change our mantra here on Dolphins Today. We sub for dubs. Subscribe to Dolphins Today. We're at 46,353 right now. Our goal is to get to 47K. That would be electric. And why do you subscribe? Because the more subs we earn, the more Dolphins content we can bring, the more studio time we get. It helps the show grow. It helps keep the lights on here at Chat Sports. Otherwise, we just have to go black, and I'd be doing a radio broadcast for you guys. We don't want that. So subscribe today. Let's get to 47K this week. I know we can do it. Last but certainly not least, you guys know I'm a Tua fan. He is him. He is our guy. He's number one. But today's not on him. Yes, he threw the interception, but he was sharp early on. He was making throws. He was utilizing the rushing attack, and his defense let him down, and then his offensive line let him down. And I'm not trying to shift the blame or anything, because I firmly believe it's a team mentality. You win as a team, you lose as a team. But Tua was not the problem today. 25 of 35, 282 yards for a touchdown and the one interception. He can be better, and he will be better. But he was not the problem. So before we start I'm just getting out in front of it. I want to hear any blaming Tua Tagovailoa for this game. He can be better. He will be better. But the offensive line has to be a heck of a lot better. They have to play a lot more disciplined football. You can't commit that many penalties. And defensively, you got to give your guys a chance to win. So one more time, final score 48-20. Dolphins fall for the first time this year. They're now 3-1, as are the Bills, both atop the AFC East. But obviously with the Bills, with the win today, they get that tiebreaker in front of the Dolphins. But it's a long season. It's a long freaking season, guys. We're not going to hang our heads after one loss. We're going to see how this Dolphins team can respond after the loss. But I got to ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from this game? I got to know. Let me know in the comments, what was your biggest takeaway from this 48-20 loss to the Bills?